very excited, Chewie, to see Te Ao with Moana being back up and running again. And we're going to have a look at a bit of a conversation. There's several clips to play. Most of them are under 2 minutes.
Sorry, just before you get into this, I just want to say straight off the bat, is my favourite part of this interview is when Winston tries to lunge across the desk at her. We'll get to that bit.
I thought that this was an exercise bike for a while. This frame over here.
It's a defensive shield.
Winston's got his exercise machine in there for keeping himself young and healthy. Okay, guys. There's a few clips to play. We'll see what we get through. There's some that I certainly want to play, others that are less important. So we're starting off basically halfway through the show. We're already at 16 and a half minutes. If you guys want to go and check it out for yourself, it's on Māori television, or you can get it on YouTube. It's on their YouTube channel as well. This is 16 minutes in, where they talk about Israel's war crimes. It's interesting because Moana asks about war crimes. Winston says, well, we don't know if they're war crimes. And then Winston agrees that they're war crimes. It's a bizarre... We'll go through it slowly, Whānau. Here we go.
You see what I mean?
Why can't you call out Israel for its war crimes in terms of mass starvation?
Now, here you go and you say it's a war crime. This matters before an international court. The adjudication hasn't happened, but you found the result already, and you're not a judge.
Don't you think so?
No, you're not.
So he's saying to her, you don't know if it's war crimes or not.
Not a jurist, you're not a judge. My point is, this has yet to be analysed by an international court and decided that way. But having gone there...
That's actually not true. Is it the IJC? Is it the IJC? Have I got the right acronym there? And have crimes against humanity for Netanyahu, whatever it was. So anyway, we'll let him keep going.
You think, forget their finding, forget the hearing, we'll just come to the conclusion now. That's not the way international politics works. That's not the way respectable law works either.
What is going to make a difference? We have...
Well, the facts will make a difference.
You could, as Francesca Albanese suggested, impose sanctions on Israeli goods. We could close down the Israeli embassy. We could stop those special visas for members of the IDF that are coming here for a holiday.
So it would make you feel good if we close down the Israeli embassy and we're no longer talking to you.
I'm just wanting clarification.
What exactly would it do? Would it help at all when you need people to talk to? And we've got the Russian embassy. We've got everybody else here, even in the middle of the Ukraine.
Are we talking to them?
The invasion of Ukraine.
We don't know.
Why? It's better to be able to talk to people.
But what are the further actions?
No conversation.
What are the actions?
What do you mean, what are the actions?
Because in the statement, it made it very clear.
No, you and your like-minded people can't suggest one compelling...
Very smart, talented, good-looking, like-minded? Is that what we're saying, these people?
...thing that will change the outcome. But you keep on spouting it out because you don't understand the difficulty, the complexity of international
What is so difficult?
Engagement.
What is so difficult? There's thousands of people starving over there, forced displacement.
Well, I'm fully aware of that.
Difficult?
I'm fully...
Starving, forced displacement, I'm fully aware of that. Winston doesn't want Moana to say what a war crime is. Moana then lists 2 war crimes, and Winston says, I'm fully aware of that. So Winston has made the determination already that war crimes are being committed. So at the start of this clip, we don't know, got to leave that up to a court. Forced displacement, categorically, carte blanche, no other rules around it, is a war crime, and he agrees that they're doing it. So he agrees in this interview that they are committing war crimes.
The difficulty, the complexity of international
What is so difficult?
Engagement.
What is so difficult? There's thousands of people starving over there, forced displacement.
Well, I'm fully aware of that.
Difficult?
I'm fully aware of that. But have you spoken to the Egyptians? I have. No, you all stop. Have you spoken to the Palestinian Authority? No, none of you have. I have. Have you spoken to the people, that biggest Muslim country in the world in one place, namely Indonesia? No, but I have, not once, 5 times. I've spoken all...
I call bullshit. Sorry, I just call bullshit that name came out your ass. You just wanted to make it sound like it. That's personal opinion.
Around the world, talk to all sorts of people about it. And so they understand the difficulty. Excepting here, we got these untrammeled experts with no information who think that their view is more valuable than, for example, the Palestinian Authority. When I say to the Palestinian Authority, how difficulty in recognising you is, we say that we want you to be in charge of a Palestinian state. But can you understand that we want to see how you're going to establish that? And the moment you can show us that, with the authority of your people, we've achieved it.
So this is a really strange interview. It's strange in a couple of ways. Winston, several times in this interview, and I'm not going to overtly show it to you, it's very Trumpian, seems to want to be congratulated. I know one of the clips has got it, but honestly, there's probably 4 times where he says something along the lines of, and we didn't get credit for that. You know, like how Trump says it. Trump, $60 million to Gaza he was talking about today, and no one thanked us. At least a thanks should come. Like it sounds like that. The other thing is, it feels like Moana is, and I'm going to ask you this one day, it seems like Moana is actually addressing this in a way that she's kind of, she's not being flippant with him, but the style that she's using is more kind of jollying him along. And there's a particular part further down that we're going to play later about Māori wardens, and you can see that she jollies him along, and she gets him to say, yes, we did that and we should get credit for it, and then she links it to something else. I'll save the surprise for you. And then he goes, oh, no, that's wrong. Although he's just basically made the case for it for himself because she's jollied him along. So it was interesting to watch him. And you do often get the talking to uncle vibes in this conversation between the two of them. You know, you get that thing of, oh, okay, so this is, the uncle's just finished his glass of whiskey, it's Christmas Day, and you're having a bit of an argument about politics. That's kind of what it sounds like. But anyway, Chewie, first thoughts?
My first thoughts is, like, if he's going to talk about, like, no, we can't close the Russian and Israeli embassies because we need to talk to them. Can you tell us what you've been talking to them about? Can you tell us how often you're talking to them? Can you tell us why Helen Clark saw fit to cancel the credentials of the Israeli ambassador when Mossad agents were stealing the identities of dead children for their fake passports? That was enough. That didn't go to a public referendum. That was just a leader that said, no, you've done espionage here. Get fucked. Off you go. We've done it before. Yeah. You know, him talking about how your average layperson can't look at something that is clearly a war crime, could look up on the internet what the definitions of a war crime are, what war crimes have happened in the past, and then look at what's happening there and go, well, this is definitely a war crime. We don't have to wait for an international criminal court to be able to recognise that. Like, is he looking in the Dom Post and the New Zealand Herald and not seeing pictures of people in concentration camps on the front page, so therefore it's not happening, and he's completely unaware of how much people get this pumped into the misery rectangle that's in their hand 24/7, enough to recognise that this is actually a very bad thing? Like, he's taking our questions about can New Zealand do more about this as a personal slight against him. Yeah. I know I've said this before, and some people may find this disrespectful, and it's not. It's more of an observation. But you know, my old man passed away at 83 a couple of years ago, and you get to a certain age where you just start communicating differently and saying things differently, and the whole it's not part of Winston's past. And it does feel like someone who has gotten very, very old and is, I'm not saying struggling to put a sentence together because he's still communicating, but it's just, I was going to say 40% slower. It's 20 to 30% slower. And even some of the words that come out aren't quite there. And like, honestly, I'm not trying to throw shade on age, but I'm also going, you know, most people out there don't give their 83-year-old the remote control for the TV because they need to be in control of it. You know, Winston's got control of the, well, he did have up until recently, control of the deputy prime ministership and the Minister of Foreign Affairs cabinet position and stuff. And I just wonder if he's past it. God, remember we showed that, you came up with that picture from the night. Came up with that picture from the 1990s that showed that cartoon feature of Winston saying he was past it in the 1990s. Hilarious. Anyway, he is. His hands are shaking. He's slurring his words. Like, if I sent him an email with a PDF in it, could he open it on his phone without asking for assistance? That's my yardstick of whether you're living in this world or not. Yeah. So what is he like in a high pressure environment when he's been flown to somewhere in a plane for hours?
And
then he's got to represent New Zealand in a negotiation.
And the difficulty will be, like, he shouldn't get, this should be his final round. He should retire. And the difficulty will be is if he continues on, and if he gets back in, and there's every chance that he would, as the number one in the list position for New Zealand First, that another 3 years on top of this, he will start to become the shadow of his former self, and that will become his legacy. How far has it fallen since the wine box? You know, people think about Winston and his legacy now, and they go gold card, and you're like, yeah, well, you know, it's basically a store card, gold card. It just puts all the other things onto one easy to use location, and the more you do this, the more you fall backwards, the more you'll be remembered as that fallen backwards politician, not the firebrand from the 80s, you know, taking governments to task.
Hey, without spoiling the broth, do you hear the clip of him talking about his legacy?
Not sure.
Okay.
To be fair, not sure.
There's a bit where Moana asks him about his legacy, and he bristles at that. And I just want to say, because if he pops his clogs tomorrow, what is Winston's legacy? And I'll tell you what it is. It's racism. He has weaponized racism against outsiders for as long as I can remember. He has played to bigoted, small-minded views of white New Zealanders for his entire career. That's his legacy.
I actually think I wouldn't say
That and the
quite
gold
like
card.
that. Because I would say you and I are too young to remember intimately his behaviour in the 80s and 90s so much, but certainly since the 2000s, whether it's you know Asians buying houses or whether it's Māori language or whatever, I think that's probably been a higher on his agenda level. So I guess your legacy should be your full body of work, but I think you're right in that'll be the last you could say this about politician, the last 20 years of his reign. Yeah, and so it'll be something
Actually,
like that.
I'll slightly
it'll be
change that. Not racism, bigotry.
xenophobia.
Because he's moved away from that now. The woke trans people that are ruining sport. You know, he's always latched on to that. So yes, Winston Peters' legacy is bigotry. Big neon letters, all caps.
On that point, next clip is only 60 seconds, and it's these two guys talking about David Seymour's letter to the UN.
The UN, these are important bodies, right? All these international bodies. And I'm just thinking too that David Seymour wrote to the UN official. He was doing his job, I guess.
And this is one of those moments that really does feel like talking to Uncle when you just come back a bit.
And said, as an Indigenous New Zealander myself, I'm deeply aggrieved by your audacity in presuming to speak on my behalf of my fellow
I'm sorry he's withdrawn that letter because he had no right to write it.
Yeah, I know, but it's a bit rich, that he wrote that, given you're the Minister of Foreign Affairs and a Māori.
Well, we all know that, but you people have sort of carried the narrative, and my answer to you
Who's
is...
you people?
Watch the space and you'll be far better informed when it's all over.
So this is classic Winston. Like, I'm not going to tell you anything, but I promise you when I do, it's going to be really important.
The Prime Minister seemed to agree with him. So are you all on the same page?
Again, watch the space, and when it's all over, you'll know what happens, and you'll be pleased that some people with experience do know what they're doing in this job, and that some people are learning and hopefully are going to be more improved in their future behaviour.
Yeah, no, I mean, you were all about diplomatic credibility, so that was a bit of a hoo-ha, wasn't it?
There you go. Uncle. Have a bit of a laugh at the end. The next clip as well is very much Uncle. Maybe we'll just roll straight into the next clip, Chewie, because we had quite a big chat about the last one.
Can I just say one thing real
Yep.
quick, just about Moana? I've said this before. Moana has a really interesting interview style. Like her interview with Shane Jones, I've said this before, I will continue saying it. To the best of my knowledge, Moana is the only person that's really got behind the facade of Shane Jones. The theatrics, the hyperbole, all of that stuff. She just basically gets him to admit that it's all an act. And I think you'd agree with me here. Winston would have to be the most challenging person to interview. His prickliness, his cunning, his aggressiveness with interviewers. It's pretty intimidating.
I find it fun. I mean, I've probably interviewed him 10, 15 times. And one of the problems is it is fun. And if you're not careful, you can get sucked into the game. And even in this interview, my last clip that I've got to play for you it's titled "He's Funny, It's a Problem." Because the bit right at the end, I laughed out loud when he said it. He took the piss. Yeah. He's funny. He's entertaining. But as someone just said in the chat that I put up, there is a decline going on there. And it's a bit the same, like I say, as my dear old dad. My dad had a great sense of humour, but when he got to the point where he was just 1 or 2 steps beyond being 100% there, and I'm not saying, he was shitting himself or anything, but it was harder to find the line between what is funny and what is appropriate. And some things that were said to be funny came out as like just not appropriate or mean as well. And that's when I say I can hear my dad and Winston. That's what I hear.
I see it literally every day in my job. And it is you get to that sort of 70, you see a clear decline in people. Yeah. Not everybody, but you do see it.
This next clip is another talking to Uncle, and it's a couple of minutes, but it's interesting because it's a conversation around neoliberalism, and Moana is very straight at him. It's like, but you're anti-neoliberalism. How are you with these guys? It's an interesting little conversation. So let's have a listen to that now.
Okay, so it's not looking too good out there for a whole bunch of ordinary New Zealanders.
Talking to Uncle.
It has exacerbated since your government has been in.
Oh, I see. You came with a predilection that you're going to say what the outcome is, even though we inherited an absolute financial mess.
That's what the Prime Minister
No, I'm not saying it. I'm saying this with experience. I wasn't born yesterday. I'm saying we came with a massive borrowing program that was unjustified, no way of paying it back. Inflation was hit.
Unfortunately, and Moana is one of the best at doing this. I'm not going to critique her, but this would be a fantastic place to have gone. And how much did Nicola just borrow in those last 2 budgets? Am I right in that she borrowed more in the last budget, one before this one, than all bar one of Grant Robinson's, and the only one that was more that was in the thick of COVID? Is that right, Mr. Peters? Is that right? So I think, unfortunately, there was a miss here. But again, I am not worthy. I am not worthy to say that to Moana. I should have thought.
Heading towards 8%. Everything was looking a total disaster, and they couldn't even put together the.
So you've gone back to what they did wrong. I just want to say we're moving on. No, you've been in power for 18 months.
Unlike others, I campaigned in 2023 when none of you would cover a word of my speeches, even though we're packing the horse.
No, please. I sat down with you.
Telling you all the situation is.
See how dismissive that was from her? See, that's Uncle. It's like, dude, shut up. I didn't hide it from you. You came and spoke to me. Perfect.
Speeches, even though we're packing the horse.
No, please. I sat down with you.
Telling you all the situation is far worse than you people think. It'll be far harder to fix it. Only one party got it right, and you're talking to the party.
You railed against neoliberalism and the trickle-down theory, and there's so many people out there taking off to Australia. There's towns like Tokoroa where the travel agent is offering one-way tickets, cheap ones, so people can get out of here. There's 20,000 people who applied for a job.
People are having their OE 50 years ago, 60 years ago.
Oh my God, they're not going for OE.
Listen to me. We've heard enough of you.
Oh?
This interview's about what I think, not what you think.
I've got to ask you the questions. That's my job.
They were going there for the OE with one-way tickets way back then.
This is a really bizarre thing. So Winston's actually sitting there saying, no, Kiwis aren't leaving New Zealand permanently every 7 minutes. They're just going on an OE and they'll be back. Now, there's no evidence. What he's saying is not untrue, that people used to go to the UK for their OEs, with a one-way ticket. But also there's no evidence that that's what's happening now. And he's putting all his eggs in that basket that that's what's happening now. And there's no evidence to back him up.
But we know we're losing people to Australia, not to the UK, not to Europe.
Yeah. You don't do an OE to Sydney typically, do you? You do an OE to London and see the rest of the world while you're there. All right.
Who wants to fly 4 hours
I've got to ask you the question.
basically the same place?
Real
That's
point
my
here.
job.
They were going there for the OE with one-way tickets way back then, all the way to the UK.
Oh, you've just
Guess
twisted
why?
that one
'Cause
around.
As young people, they couldn't afford to get two-way tickets. You must be from a very wealthy family. The poor ones like us have one-way ticket.
The rich
to go
have-
work for a mining camp, work 11 miles underground. That's what we
The
were
rich have got richer. The rich have got richer. The food banks are under stress. Homeless people can't get into emergency shelter because the criteria have changed. You know all that.
I
But
know-
you were
I know-
against neoliberalism.
No, don't tell me that neoliberalism took us to that situation. Who was governing
That was
with
rough.
no restraint at all from 2020 to 2023? For 3 years, they blew the whole economy out, borrowed like there was no tomorrow. ACT and National's great mistake was to not underestimate how bad it was. But it's not our mistake.
Okay, so it's all their fault. So you've been going on for a while.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're cutting out anyway. Yeah, I mean, you said rough when he stumbled there. I don't want to make too much of it. I mean, I'm the last person to look to when you're getting tongue-tied. I use the wrong words every single night. But what I'll say of Winston is there is a change, a noticeable change. Now that's actually not necessarily a criticism. It's not a criticism. All of us will have change when we get to that sort of age. My question now is the change impacting his ability to do what he's done for the past 37 years, Chewie? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to come back. Him and Shane Jones came down to Dunedin a few months ago to officially open the Hillside Works.
Yep.
And I was outside yelling at them through a megaphone, but I knew people that were inside for the actual event itself. And that's, I'm going to paraphrase what I was told here, but Shane Jones did his speech, and it was described to me by the person going, I know I don't like Shane Jones and his politics and what he stands for, but his speech was good. Like, it made perfect sense. He was talking about how what an important asset that Hillside Works was for Dunedin and the South Island, and it would keep rail alive, all of that good stuff. And then Winston came on and slurred and rambled, wandered off point, blamed the previous government for stuff, and basically didn't talk about much about Hillside Works at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he described what was going on in the room as just awkwardness of just people sort of like looking at the person next to them and going, ugh. You know, there is a clear difference in him and his deputy. And
So
yeah,
this will be
I
the time
think
to step aside. Like, you
This
want to
would be
leave
the
a
t-
legacy. Yeah, you want to step aside now.
you would step aside if you knew that the guy that you'd been working beside for so long was capable of doing it.
Yep. Yep. I mean,
New Zealand First has always been Winston's party.
Winston first, yeah. But he should be party president next time round, and Shane Jones should be number one. They've got to do it at some stage. I think they're probably a better move if Winston Peters steps aside and then endorses than Winston Peters dies in the middle of a term, and then they got to try and figure out how they're going to do the next election without Winston. But then again, it depends. Is this man an egomaniac and he needs to be number one and nothing else will do or not? I don't know the answer to that. But the smartest thing to do, I think, would be to step aside this time around to crown the next leader and to go around the country and fight for him and for New Zealand First as you retire off into politics, to go fishing for the last, who knows, hopefully
You should go
3, 4,
fishing.
5
You
years
know,
of
ride
your
his
life.
horse on the beach, smoke cigars and sit in the sun. You know, like, I don't like the fact that this guy has been so dominant in his style of politics for my entire lifetime. You know, it doesn't sit well. And in my opinion, he's the best argument for term limits for public service. Like, it's just enjoy your twilight years and leave the rest of us to it.
And when I say egomaniac, people in the chat are reacting. I guess we all know he's got an ego. I guess what I'm trying to say is he a narcissist or a sociopath rather than egomaniac? Because if he's a narcissist, he can't stand aside. It's not possible. And if he's well, he can't step aside it because that's a part of the narcissist being the center of the universe and that. But the narcissist in and of itself is a vulnerable person who is basically scared and fragile on the inside. Where I've forgotten the word now, it just jumped out of my head. A sociopath is someone who likes to actually see other people in pain. That wouldn't be necessarily what we're looking at here, although, people of New Zealand in pain. So if he's a narcissist, he can't step aside. If he is just an egomaniac, because if you're a narcissist, you think that you staying there is the only way it can happen. It's the only way for it to go because this can't survive without you. If you're an egomaniac, if you've got an ego, he does, he still might have the wherewithal to go, and how I carry my legacy for the next 100 years is for me to step aside now. So he might be able to be a part of it. Anyway, I want to keep going because there's a couple more clips. And this one is the two of them talking about the RSB, Regulatory Standards Bill.
Remember, we're all
You have
hoping that
said
Winston
that when it
pulls
comes
the
to
pin
the
on this.
regulatory standard,
Well, that's what it's about. Winston basically says, I'm going to stop it. And when Moana goes, oh, good, you're going to stop it. I think this is one of the moments where he kind of goes, this is the leading him down the line. This is what I wonder if Moana has made a conscious decision on how to handle this interview in particular. And she basically, when you congratulate you congratulate someone for something they haven't really said or done, but they've kind of implied it. And after you congratulate them for doing it, they're kind of stuck having to acknowledge or to do it. It's sort of what she does here.
standards bill, it's a work in progress, right? You've said that. You're
Yes.
going to make changes, right?
Yes.
So, and the big criticism is that all past and future law will be measured against key Act principles. So what New Zealand First principles are missing?
Well, if you go and extrapolate slowly, phrase by phrase, your question, the answer lies in that. You began by saying what New Zealand First is going to do, and then you forgot all about it and talked about what you thought was the threat. Sorry, the two don't match.
No, so the core principles, what's missing? What's missing in that bill?
Well, what's missing is the truth from your question. And I'm not answering to lies. That is not happening.
Oh, the RSB, you're not supporting it.
Not in the way that you think and no the way the media conceive
You're
it.
not supporting it. How come?
Everybody knows that. Because when
What changes it?
No, listen. I don't know why I'm sitting here.
Everybody does not know that, Winston. David Seymour does not know that you're not supporting the RSB. Luxon might be more of a worry about it. He gets quite shirty here about his principles because she kind of, see what she's just done? Oh, okay, so you're saying you're not going to support it. That's what I'm saying. And he gets a bit shitty about her asking questions about his principles because apparently he's the most principled man in New Zealand politics has ever seen.
Because when
What changes it?
No, listen. I don't know why I'm sitting here answering 101 questions.
Well, that's your
We
job. It's
said
your
that you can.
job.
We said you can take it to the select committee,
Yeah.
but we have these caveats and these codicils, and they'll still be there at the end of it, unless it's satisfactory. That's the situation.
So if
why are you rushing to judgment and talking about?
I'm not. I'm congratulating you on behalf of the thousands of New Zealanders who made submissions and are really concerned about the constitutional impact of that bill.
Well, with great respect to those people who made all those submissions, New Zealand First has been in this game for a
Yeah.
long time, and we have certain fundamental principles we stand up for.
Yeah.
Not when it's convenient, not when it suits us, but because we're committed to them.
So if those
So
principles.
why are you worried or not? Why do you think for a moment we'd miss the point about this sort of, about legislation when it's wrong?
Oh no, that's good. No, that's good because
Rough.
people will be uplifted to know that you will stand on principle at the end of the day when it comes to this bill, right?
You know something? I spent more time spending my money and my time on principles and going to court all the way to the Privy Council at the expense of over millions of dollars doing it than all you journalists all put together. And for you to say to me that I'll stand up on principle, what do you think my life's been about? You show me where I've self-enriched myself. Taken a knighthood, taken an honours, taken even...
I can show you one. I won't take the baubles of office. Took the baubles of office. There's one. I'm just going to do one. Just one.
ambassador's job, all of which has been offered to me. And you have the audacity to ask me that question.
That's not being audacity. I'm just
No,
trying
no,
to do
you-
my job.
I just think you journalists are so damn frivolous.
Oh, how do
You
I
are
get-
so Scottish
Oh.
about your own money, and I've gone in there for hundreds of thousands of dollars, taking it all on against the world and won, and you think that I'm here just for myself?
I'd never said that. You're getting a bit
No,
triggered.
No, I'm getting triggered because your question infers with a great casual blandishment that some people in politics aren't there for principle and for what they stand
That
for.
is not.
Yeah, I know it's rough, and I don't want to. I'm not actually. We went longer there than I thought we were going to, since my notes said. But Yeah, he got pretty triggered is the right word there by that. Look, we've got
That was a feedback loop.
yeah.
I don't think he realised why he was angry.
I've got maybe I'll just try and do one more clip, and then I'll show you the ending bit that I think he's funny, and it's a problem because you can get sucked in by it. This is the bit where he's talking about Māori wardens, and this is where Moana beautifully and delicately goes, "You've got targeted funding for a race, which is your government doesn't do this. How have you done that?" And he explains why, and then she basically says, "Yeah, like the Māori Health Authority," and then no, it's different. No, it's different. No, it's different. So this is the best example of her leading him down the path, gently holding him by the hand. "Come on, Uncle Winnie, come this way. Now this is what you've said." Oh shit, I didn't mean to say that.
Sorry, I should be smiling and trying to answer your question, but actually, my frustration of it is
Don't be
that
like
somebody
that.
walks into my room and asks me, "You're going to stand up for things you said you're going to stand up for," and my record is to do that like no other politician.
By the way, congratulations on getting $13 million across to Māori Women's Welfare League and the Māori Wardens. That was good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you must have put up a hell of a fight to do that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, because
Not for the first time.
yeah, but
I
because
put the Māori Women's Welfare League on a separate footing way back, guess when? 1991.
bless. They
I
need
supported
saved.
the Māori Wardens way back then. Who else has done that?
Yeah,
So I'm
but
just
it's
going to
just,
be
it's just that the environment that we're
I'm not
in
a
now.
modest person, but I'm not going to stand here and not recite.
I was congratulating you.
Thank you very much.
What is
Because
It took an
innocent,
extraordinarily long time to interview to get
Praise me. Tell me I'm
Why
a good
is he
boy.
fighting the praise though? Like he's getting the praise and then he's get angry that it's somehow not enough. Because he hasn't acknowledged the long history of Winston Peters' existence from the dawn of fucking time when he invented the Māori Wardens. Jesus.
that part.
don't be titchy. No, it's just because Nicola Willis has said what's good for all New Zealanders is good for Māori, and David Seymour has said targeted funding is racial profiling. So you must have gone humdinger to get that amount of money.
Look, when you hear people making absolutist statements
Hey,
that
it's
don't
crazy,
relate to
eh?
truth. No, but hang on, look, who was the person that went out? There was a Maori family that were dying of cancer. It's a serious one area of New Zealand, and they had a totally disproportionate cancer record. We went out, put the medical research into it, and found the answer to their
You've noticed that? For Māori, that's what he's talking about. For Māori, disproportionate.
problem. None of you even know about that, but guess who did that? And I can give you an example, Mount Hikurangi, West Coast leases. I can sit here all day and all night for the next 3 months giving you our record. But yes, again, for the umpteenth time, we supported the New Zealand Māori Women's League because they are a dynamic group.
They are.
And in time, they can get a greater spread, a greater reach for more reasonable funds.
No one's
as can the
fighting you on
Māori
that.
Wardens.
Yeah, but
I
I'm
just
just
would
saying,
say
I'm
bit
just
understood.
saying, big shout out to you for actually securing that in a government where targeted Māori funding isn't exactly top of the pops.
Yeah, but when you say what's happened here is you've got these people who are absolutists in their views. If, for example, one group of our population has a propensity to get a certain illness, then that needs targeted funding.
Did you pick up what he said? If one group needs targeted funding, then that's fine.
Has a propensity to get a certain illness, then that needs targeted funding.
Yes.
Not on the basis of race, on the basis of need.
Yeah.
Need
so-
is the
and
cause.
that's what we talked about last time.
Yes.
So Māori
I'm glad
had
you
more
remembered.
need. Māori required targeted funding, which is why the Māori Health Authority was set up because of that need. And it's all gone burger.
No,
All gone burger.
no, you're going so far until you said that. When the Health Authority was set up, it was set up not on empirical evidence, not on any scientific research. No, just on the basis this would be a good idea.
And then he backpedals pretty heavily, Chewie. We've taken too long on doing this now. I apologise, guys, but I'm going to give you one more bit just because this is the very end. It's only 20 seconds or something, I think. Oh, no, I haven't even got it queued up. The thing about Winston Peters, and I'll stump up to this, is you can get caught up in his, I don't know what you'd call it. You know, he's fun. I've said this to you before. He's fun to interview. And I'm not saying it in a good or a bad way. I'm just telling you the reality of jousting with him can be fun, or jousting with him in the past could be fun. And I just thought he showed that at the end of this conversation. Moana talks about offering him one of her songs, and he's like, "Oh, you should give that to someone who's going to lose, because I wouldn't have it, because I knew the winners go with me." And it was that moment that you kind of go, that's that Winston of old who you need to be aware of, because he does have, what's the word? Not character. I'm trying to think of the word. Joie de vie, that sort of thing about him. And you can get dazzled by it.
Mm.
Your theme song, I've had it in my head. I get knocked down, I get up again. What will be your theme song as you head into the next election?
I'd love you to tell you
By the way, he won't even tell you that. It's weird.
tactics and plans with anybody. They can't keep it a secret. They tell the whole world, and all of a sudden our competitors know. And so as much as I'd like to tell you, I have to tell you, you'd be most wise to go and tell your audience, stand back and watch, because help's on its way.
So,
By the way, that was a great zoom. Did you notice that zoom just before the help's on the way? Watch it again.
Tell your audience, stand back and watch, because help's on its way.
so what about treaty?
So-
I've got a song. If you guys turn out to be a champion of the treaty, you can have one of my songs.
But I'm not trying to go to political oblivion. So give it to some other party, would you? That's the difference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Objectively funny. I'm not trying to go to political oblivion. Give it to somebody else. Anyway, Chewie, as I said, that was longer by about an hour than I thought it would be. We've got one more story to go, but if you want to wrap up on anything you've just seen, feel free.
I can't wait for the end of Winston Peters. Like, I'm going to put a caveat on that as a politician. You say he's fun to joust with.
He was.
I'm sure that's true,
Yeah.
but I can't divorce that from what a divisive, bigoted position that he's taken for the entirety of his career in my memory.
Yeah, but if you just remember, right, and I've said this before in the last 12 months, I'm over that. Like, I'm over that he's fun to joust with, because what he's doing now and the policies he's bringing in are far more dangerous, like the attacking of vulnerable people and that kind of stuff. But what I was saying is, when I watched that, I thought of that again. I did laugh when I was watching that out loud when he said, I don't want to go into political oblivion. That's a pretty funny slam, but you need to be careful of that as an interviewer, because it can all of a sudden just be an interview, and what he's doing now with his political party and where he's going is dangerous for a good chunk of New Zealanders. So yeah, I'm both saying he was always fun to joust with. I've kind of pledged not to do that anymore, but I was just reminded of it watching the end of that conversation.